Did somebody say fire sale? Baby, Tesla is so cheap right now. And in today's video, we're going to talk about why Tesla's been selling off recently and why potentially it could be a good buy for the future. There's been a lot of activity with Elon Musk lately. I'll dive into that quickly. We'll talk about today's headlines and go from there. Be sure you stick through the entire video because I will be covering Tesla stock price targets for the short term and the long term as well. Now, before I get started, all you got to do, baby, is smash that like and hit that subscribe button, baby. Like I mentioned, there's been a lot of headlines with Elon Musk lately, and it's been around Twitter, as you can imagine. So recently, he's been undergoing some scrutiny because he's been focusing too much of his efforts maybe towards Twitter, and he's receiving a lot of backlash because of that, and Tesla stock is reflecting that action. So Elon recently had a poll that says, should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this. Now, the validity of this poll is true, and Elon typically sticks to his words, but we got to be a little bit careful here because apparently there's a little bit of discrepancy with the voting here. So there's speculation that a lot of these votes could actually be bots, and this is pretty interesting as well, and Elon has taken notice to this. On top of this, the amount of likes that were received on this tweet were like around 1 million. So you have 1 million likes on the tweet, but 17.5 million votes. So that discrepancy may be lagging some things here. As mentioned before, Tesla investors have been concerned that Twitter is taking up too much of Musk's time, resulting in Tesla getting ignored. So Tesla stock is down 8% on the day, which is a pretty big amount. It's trading at 137.80. Oh my goodness gracious. This is extremely cheap, guys. Tesla is down like 55-60% from all-time highs. It doesn't get much cheaper than this. Now it can, of course, but damn, man, 137.80. Now you got to ask yourself long-term, would you bet against this man? Would you bet against Elon really letting Tesla go like this? This is his baby, okay? This along SpaceX, I don't think it's really going anywhere. I think now it's just a little bit more rocky, a little bit of FUD because he went through this whole Twitter ordeal, but those are just my 2 cents. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of Tesla's future. Let's jump into the next headline here. So today this headline came out that Elon Musk is actively searching for a new Twitter CEO, sources say. Now you got to remember he's looking right now, so this isn't going to give us too much of a catalyst for Tesla and or Twitter yet, but knowing Elon, this is going to be a little bit of a rigorous process. He wants to find the right candidate because Elon has a ultimate vision with Twitter, and I know he doesn't want to let go of that, right? He's chasing a lot of the freedom of speech and false information. So you want to make sure that the next person stepping up is that right person for the job and to lead the way for Twitter. So I think this could actually take a little bit longer than people think. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to find one this week kind of thing. It could take a little bit longer. And as this drags out, this could affect Tesla's price even more. So keep that in mind. But on the flip side, as soon as he does find a candidate, I can see Tesla shares absolutely popping like that and probably make its cruise back up. And you can see the overall market and firms are taking response to this. So you can see some companies are switching their outlook from outperform to perform. Now, aside from the whole Elon Twitter ordeal, we do want to be cognizant that the stock has been hurt this month by worries about its China operations. So keep that in mind. There's kind of a twofold thing going on here, right? Concerns with China operations and then also the concerns with Elon and Twitter. And you're starting to see analysts and firms change their opinion as well from outperform to perform. I wouldn't take too much out of this, right? Take it with a grain of salt. Don't hold your breath. Whatever these analysts say, they're typically wrong majority of the time because it's just too hard to predict. One analyst that I highly respect and is highly respected from the community is Gene Munster from Loop Capital. And he's just reiterating the fact that, you know, Elon Musk's split focus between Twitter and Tesla has a potential weigh on Tesla results from some time to come. So he's not only saying that the current status with Elon focusing on Twitter is having an effect, but he's also saying we could see some residual effect down the road as well. I'm sure it'll be temperamental if he does find a backup CEO, however, but with his focus kind of been on the Twitter space the last month or so, it's going to probably have a little bit of a lag, and we'll see some carryover of the effects of that in Tesla. Now, before we dive into the technical analysis, let's talk about potential future outlook. Now, for next year on Tesla, again, this is according to tip ranks. It's usually way off, but it says it's looking for a high by the end of next year of $760, an average of $279.41, which is pretty much the current price, and then a low of $85. Now, the low is not too far-fetched. I don't think it'll go that low. Based on technical analysis, I can definitely see around maybe 120s, 100. But you got to remember, guys, there's potential talks of the recession coming soon. There's a lot of imbalances in the overall broader markets in the macro scale of things with interest rates. A lot of things are going on. Just because Tesla goes down doesn't mean that the company is doing terrible. It could just be that the overall market conditions are not favorable. So keep that in mind as a potential investor of Tesla. In this next part, we're going to do a quick technical analysis. I'm going to give you guys my price targets for the short term. We talked a little bit about the long term already, but we'll cover that as well. Now let's dive right into my screen here. So here is Tesla on the daily chart. Now, right off the bat here, I want to talk about this potential head and shoulders pattern. Now this is a reversal pattern. This is kind of bearish looking, so be cognizant of that. And when we're looking at this pattern, we also want to note kind of where that neckline is. And for me, the neckline has been around this region here. Now, when you're trying to find a price target using the head and shoulders pattern, if we're abiding strictly by it, you typically take a price from the head down to the neckline, clone that location, come back down here, and then that will kind of give you a projected price. It's saying -$9. I extremely doubt it. It's not going to go bankrupt. Okay, so the head and shoulders there, it could still have validity, but I don't think it'll fall through the entire potential target there. I think what's more realistic is kind of where it gets more interesting around this zone here. So in this area here, we had a lot of liquidity, right? We had a lot of imbalances of liquidity, rebalances in liquidity, just overall liquidity here where prices kind of chopped up. I can see projections of price landing or floating in these areas, and then you also kind of have a smaller area like that just below here. So that puts us at about that $87–$85 price target that we saw from before at the very lowest. I think anywhere from like $90 to the current price is a nice grab for Tesla. And again, you know, worst case for me, if I am wrong on trying to time the bottom, which you never will, I can just dollar cost average, right? I can keep buying the shares as they get lower as I'm trying to time this bottom here. And then as they start to curl up, just keep buying, baby. That's what I'm going to do. That way my average comes down, and ultimately the future outlook for the stock price will be in my favor, very likely, if it does increase, because I was accumulating shares while it was super cheap. So that's kind of the long-term look for me. Now, Tesla, I'm not really too bullish until we have some very clear market structure breaking, and that's going to be around like $315. I think at the very, very short term, very least, I want to get past that $200 level. So if we can break $200, then we can have the next conversation about what's coming up. But for now, I'm going to keep my eyes on $200 as my current ceiling here. Very long-term, $315, but $200 is what we need to clear past, okay? And then as of recently, we have breaking a critical support level here. Is about that $182 level, and ever since we broke below there, man, we have just been continuously selling off. Now again, you got to remember that some of this is catalyst driven and market driven, so you kind of have a perfect storm here, right? The stock market is starting to retract and pull back here, right? You can observe the S&P 500, and then on top of that, you have the whole Twitter Elon Musk going on as well. I'm just taking this with a grain of salt here, okay? Now volume is supporting this movement, right? So if you see volume staircasing up like this, that's usually not the best sign, because it's riding with the price. So if the price is pushing down and volume is increasing as the price is pushing down, that shows that it has some strength to it. But again, it's getting so oversold, man. I do think we can calm down here. Now currently we are trading from all-time highs down about 67% on Tesla, guys. I mean, if it gets cheaper, it gets cheaper, but I'm not tripping too much about these juicy prices. Let's talk about the short-term price targets. Now for the short-term upward movement, there's a couple key areas that interest me. First of all, I'm going to denote a few fair value gaps here. I like this one here, this partially filled one. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with fair value gaps, be sure to check that link down below and join my private Discord if you're interested in learning this strategy just a little bit more. But very short term, my first price target is going to be $143.25. Just above that here is going to be the current high of day. That's going to put me at $148.43. So those are the first two levels I'm looking to exceed. And then anything beyond that is just going to be up here in the pre-market. That's going to place us at about $151.50. So those are the next three levels, right? There's levels to this. So as you're looking for price targets, you want to stair step through it, right? Kind of like a ladder or a staircase, stair step through it. I know some of you guys like to short. I personally like to short. And when it comes to trading, I don't care short term where this thing goes. Obviously long term I do. But if we're looking to capitalize on that, let's talk about some downside movements next. So anywhere below here, there's not really any critical reference point. So that's where we're going to come out to the higher time frame once more. So coming across here, this is the price line. We can see where the price currently is trading at. So we're going to reference some critical areas just below here. Now Tesla is currently trading in a gap, and that's explaining a lot of the price movement we've been seeing, right? There's been a gap from 144 down to the current floor that we're at. So we're sitting in that gap right now. Makes sense why the price kind of slid through here today. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I don't think it's too bad yet. There could be a little bit more downside, but again, I would expect some relief soon just because of so much selling off. So that next critical level I'm going to be watching is about $132 for that next support level. And then easily just below that, I'm looking at $126 and about 35 or 40 cents. Just to reiterate, if we're going to the downside, I think we're going to clear up this gap here, which we already are. If you want to follow along with these price targets and actively trade it alongside our group, we do send signals out every single day. Be sure to check that link down below in the description to join my private Discord. Other than that, baby, hit that subscribe, hit that like, and I'll see you in the next video.